And we attempt to be, we are working to be and becoming the premier code enforcement agency in the country.
Here's what the recent Zucker report says about Mr. Smart's premier code enforcement agency. Austin Code Department staff know very little about all the codes. One person cannot know all the codes, yet they issue citations for alleged code violations for all possible aspects of the code and end up causing more harm than good. Here's what the city auditor said after Mr. Smart came on board in 2011. We noted that there is no general agreement among supervisors with new procedures, and some supervisors stated that they follow only those procedures that they believe are best. Inconsistent implementation of policies and procedures potentially weakens the effectiveness of the monitoring process, limits the department's ability to identify and correct noncompliance, and hinders uniformity in the application of policies and procedures. CCED management indicated that they were aware of inconsistencies in actions and are underway to address them. 5 years later, here's what the city auditor reported in their audit of code just last month. Code violation investigation, documentation, and resolution practices vary across cases due to lack of management oversight. In August 2013, the UT Law School paper entitled Addressing Problem Properties, in this document they wrote, there are 4 critical elements of an effective code enforcement system. A city must have good systems in place to identify, monitor, enforce, and then remediate code violations. We conclude that Austin does not have adequate systems in place for any of these elements. UT Law School did a follow-up in 2015 entitled An Analysis of Austin's 252 Repeat Offender Program and Efforts to Address Dangerous Rental Properties. In our prior report, one of the core issues we identified and discussed in conjunction with Austin Code Enforcement Program is the laissez-faire approach towards problem property owners. In particular, we called out the lack of enforcement infrastructure in the city attorney's office and failure to take swift and aggressive measures against the most egregious code violators. Last week, an American Statesman article implied that Director Smart was being picked on because of his skin color. Your constituents only care about poor job performance. It's time for Mark Ott to stop protecting Director Smart and to admit that it's time for new and competent leadership in the code department.